And we are back with the newest edition of Two Coaches, One Grizz. And I have to say that I feel whole for the first time in a long time. We got the entire crew back together. All right.
I'm just glad Ace is here. Maybe we can sound better this week. I mean, nothing against the last guy that was doing the sounds, but I'm really glad Ace is back.
That guy doesn't have a degree in this. This is just a disclaimer.
I don't want to hear excuses, bro. I'm just glad Ace is back.
Just a disclaimer. Was it that bad?
Just glad Ace is back. Just glad.
You know what they say? Some heroes don't wear capes.
That's
and
it.
We got ours back.
There you go.
Oh yeah, our esteemed producer is back. I take no affront to that because I am in no way a expert at this, but it's good to have the entire crew back. I think it's we drive well together when we're all in sync, if you will.
The silent one.
The silent one. Yeah, we're gonna get a mic on him at some point.
We've tried. He refuses. He refuses.
He gave us a little Twitter for this.
I'm good.
So we're gonna jump right in here, and we're gonna talk about some. I wouldn't say surprising because I think it was a long time coming. We saw it happening.
No. But I mean, I do think it is
a
surprising.
stalwart of the sport of tennis, the GOAT. Fair to say.
I wouldn't give her that title.
Whoa,
either.
come on, coach.
Come on,
Coach.
Oh, Martina Navratilova was just as good. Steffi Graf. Now you could say she's the top three. One of the tops.
A titan of the sport.
One of the tops
of tennis.
But
Serena Williams retires.
Yes.
As always, a good thing in sports. It's good to debate. Our fellow coach says top three. I tend to. I don't share so many times with Frankie, but this time I do. I think she's the best of all time. She's left a lot out there that she could have probably won up to 30. And she's had some moments, yes, that, failed to win the big one. Trying to pass to get to tie 24 Grand Slams. She's lost like 4, I think, finals. Or she just dropped some that. But that also comes with age. And she's at a point where she's 40 years old, I believe. She is coming off having her first child. She won her last major pregnant. I mean, that's something to be said.
Beast.
But everybody goes down. We're not all Tom Brady here.
I don't want to take away anything from her luster. She is an amazing tennis player. I think she is, like I said, one of the best. I really do. But I think there were others that I think had more longevity and also had better statistics as far as winning the big one and being around longer, because she took a lot of gaps. Remember, don't forget, she had a middle road there where she was kind of bad. She wasn't very good in the middle of her career.
The only time she's taking gaps is
she
when
did a little
took
Andre
time
Agassi.
off.
Yeah, but she did a little Andre Agassi in the middle. Okay, look at it.
But let's put this into perspective, right? Number one, she has a career record of 192 and 34. That's an 85% win percentage. Yes. Okay, we touched on it, right? Career titles 23. She's one off of the for tying the lead, and she was going for it. It didn't happen. Her body started to break down. And if you look at it,
she's won the career Grand Slam 3 times. Over.
Who's the next best on that one?
I don't know.
It's either Steffi Graf. It might be Steffi Graf. Might be better than her in that.
No, she's the second all time in Grand Slams.
Okay,
behind Margaret Court, who has 24. I'm just saying. Once again, I always like to hear other legends. I think it's Everett.
Chris Everett.
Chris Everett, one of the best of all time.
Yes.
She says there's no contest.
You kind of try to put her perspective.
Longevity, Gil, come on. She's been playing since, let me see, the first title was 99, 23 years ago. She won it before who everybody thought was going to be the better sister, Venus.
Well, because Venus started out quicker than she did, and Venus was
2 years older.
Was challenging.
I mean, she came from, Compton. We've all heard the story. The movie just came out. I mean, 2 siblings to be in that kind of great,
a slap and an Oscar.
Air.
A slap and an Oscar.
A slap and an Oscar.
I mean, from that comes you can trace the slap. Obviously, that's amazing. But I I don't know. I mean, it's semantics at the end of the day. You know, she's top 3.
So
she is one of the greatest.
Yes.
Not even female.
So let's
No
try.
doubt.
One of the greatest all time.
Let's try to play
tennis. I said tennis player. Period. I think she's one of the.
Let's try to play the equivocation game here, right? A little bit. You know, let's look at basketball, right? Bill Russell has the most titles as a player, right? 11, and Michael Jordan has 6, right? Pretty much half that. And you ask pretty much anybody, and everybody's going to say that Michael Jordan is the best player, you know, basketball player of all time. So do championships, you know, play a factor? Of course they do. But in that respect, you know, it's not the entire story there. And she's only one off of the all-time lead, you know, like it's one of those arguments where it's like, okay, Michael Jordan at his hype, at his peak, nobody was better, but like LeBron sustained it for longer, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you can have those arguments all day long, and you know never come to a consensus on it. But I mean, I think again, as a casual watcher of tennis,
let me explain something
ever.
to you. 99 first title, her last major was 2017. Okay, 99, 2017. Years she did not win a title between that. 2000, 2001, 04, 06, and 2011. So her longest drought is now.
right? And then
She's just.
I think there's a lot to be said as to where she is, like stature-wise, in the pantheon of sports, that she was able to juggle, blend, you know, kind of fashion, personal life, the sport. Like she was able to do it all. Like she revolutionized what a tennis player or a female athlete was perceived as.
I also remember in her mid-20s, her and her sister kind of wanted to quit and just do the fashion. And they were like, we're not going to be these tennis players that play late into their 30s. You know, and here they are both. Venus is still trying, you know, play tennis. Like, it's amazing that if you're that passionate and you're that great, you have to do it. It's hard to walk away when you're the best.
No, and again, I think that having the baby and things like that really took a toll on her as well, and has changed her game, because again, she was an amazing athlete and was able to stay in matches and run down balls and things of that nature that allowed her to be the champion that she is. Well, and again, like we were talking earlier, as far as MMA is concerned, age stops for no one. And it's unforgiving.
Yeah, and this is also something that
she won 14 double majors with her sister.
And then there's really something to be said here that we as men can never quantify nor speak to as an experience of being at the absolute peak of your profession, being an absolute, you know, the elites of the elite, and still being able to birth a child and be a mother. Whereas most other females, that's not even in their, you know, conscious thought process until their career is done and over, right? Like they put that to the side, and, you know, she was able to kind of show in that respect that, like, hey, I can do this. I did it.
That's why
she won a major. She won a major pregnant. You know,
most women tennis players would retire early back in the day,
right?
Have their career, then start their families, and you know, as always, people grow. Some would. There's other great tennis players I've known that now stop, have a kid, they come back, but a little earlier. It's just hard when your first kid is so later, like in your 30s and 40s.
It also helps when your husband is the founder of Reddit, and you guys are billionaires, right? Like, you know,
she personally doesn't even need that.
There's a support system there that,
I mean, she had a support system without him, but yeah, that adds to everything. Sure, I mean, we're not gonna cry over spilled milk, pobrecita, you know, but I mean, at the end of the day, the fact that she's saying this is the countdown's begun. Who knows? Maybe she still has it. She's the type of player that has come back from not playing at all and then just wins a major. So when she plays a tennis tournament, she always has a chance to win.
Oh no, yeah.
So whether her last tournament's now in the U.S. Open or, you know, maybe Australian, I think
she'll end it here in the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I think she still has.
I think that'll
shot
be her time
to win something, and if not, man, the best. I working a couple years working the tennis tournament here in Miami. I've seen her up close. It is something to witness.
Sight to behold.
Many ways.
On and off the court.
She is a blessed individual.
Yeah, I mean, like that's a specimen, if you will, and I say that in all the best ways possible. Like that is
absolutely.
But yeah, so you don't think she's the best ever?
I don't think she's the best ever. I think she again.
Are you going the tier argument here?
No. Because again, I grew up. I was a big tennis. I was a huge tennis fan as a child. Yeah. I grew up watching Borg, Connors, McEnroe, the Australian tennis player Rod Laver. I watched all the big guys, and then I started watching women's tennis. Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova, a little bit of Billie Jean King,
the one next to her.
Right, and like I said, Steffi Graf retired at 30. Man, when you look at Martina's record, she played 1,600 matches. She won 1,400. I was just looking at it now. She was an incredible player. She was one of the first women that was into the whole nutrition and workout, and she was a beast.
So that that's a good point. And that was the next point I was going to bring up. Like, you know, it also changes the game. The nutrition and the strength and conditioning aspect of that they infuse into the game, because before, right, we're talking 60s, 70s, 80s, right?
She into the early 70s, 80s, and some 90s.
Right.
And again, she played for 20-something years.
But like that, it wasn't their workout and their strength and conditioning regimens were nothing like what they went through.
Correct. I mean, it was more of a
and that's across the board.
No, because nobody did. I mean, honestly,
right.
Very few people lifted weights at that time.
Right.
So theirs was just a pure game in of itself. But Martina did get into the whole and it's funny because as she aged, you saw her getting trimmer and more fit, and she was just she
adapted her game.
Correct.
I remember Martina.
And she's been one of my favorites, and I think she was just a beast. She really was. And you mentioned, I think, or Grizz mentioned the whole thing about doubles. She was an incredible doubles. Mixed doubles, women's double.
Yeah, she has the all-time record for every major combined.
Yeah,
over 50 of these.
I'm telling you, she's done all. That's why I say, again, and
you want to look at the whole picture.
You mentioned Russell, and that's my thing.
Yeah, 59 major titles, 31 women doubles. 18 majors.
Is Serena the best we've seen? Yes. In the last 15, 20 years, she is the best. Right. Before her, it was Steffi, and Steffi Graf ended up retiring at 30. So she could have played long. She did. Martina was, and again, Martina's the icon. So that's why I say,
Steffi was 37.
As we say, you look at it in context.
Right.
So that's why I say she's up there. She's one of the top 2 or 3. And that's why saying the best is the best. Semantics, as you and me like to say, semantics. It's semantics.
It is.
Because again, she's one of the best.
What you feel that particular day.
And that's why when you talk about golf, you talk about Nicholas, and you talk about player, and Tiger, they're just the best. They're the best.
Right.
And
I believe in their prime, if we put them together, I think Serena would outlast, because of what she has evolved to as this ultimate animal of a tennis player.
I don't know.
And she has some of the best comebacks I've ever seen. I mean, once again, it's just your pick of the litter. You can't go wrong. It's not like you're saying this or that. To me,
correct. And that's why I say, that's why I don't get into it. I just say
clear-cut Michael Jordan.
Right. Oh, I mean, like I said, that's why I say she's one of the best.
But I still think it's her. But I would say Steffi Graf would be the other one.
I think what puts her in rarefied air, where she is the most, I guess, significant icon in the sport, is number one, the era that she played in, right? Like, she kind of came into the sport and ascended as, you had the social media, right? Like, she became a pop culture icon. She was able to kind of mix in all of that. Like, she wasn't just a one-trick pony, right? So, like, that also plays into why she's more in the, conscious mindset
but again,
of population.
But that's why I said it's we're talking about context. If Martina would have had it, or what they would have,
right, and she also benefits from being in the era of empowerment, and
so that's why I said
right.
I just think she is one of the top. You can make an argument for all three of them, two of them. She is one of the best players that's ever played the game, bar none.
Heard. Grizz?
No, I got nothing else to say on this, man. We're good.
Phenomenal segment.
Moving right along.
Moving right along. We'll be right back with some NFL talk, as will become our staple as we move along here. A week away from football, high school,
Roger Goodell has
college.
Spoken.
And we are back with our favorite subject, the NFL. Right? As the world turns in the NFL, this is a soap opera.
What about our favorite actual subject, though? The Deshaun Watson case. Every week, this is a staple of this show now.
Roger Goodell breaks his silence.
And by the looks of things, it's going to be every week for the next 12 months.
Especially since Goodell has come out, like Frankie said.
Yeah, this is... So, essentially, in a nutshell, he says, right, his first public appearance and statements after the ruling from Sue L. Robinson, the evidence calls for at least a full-year suspension from the Cleveland Browns.
And not that I want to convince the guy making the decision or anything, but this is just my opinion as the NFL commissioner. It's got to be at least a year. But I'm not trying to influence anybody. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You come up with your own idea. Again, he doesn't have to say jack. We know what he wants.
Right, like why are you defending your... Like, the case has been stated, right?
Just let it go.
Like, him inserting himself into the situation just makes him... Petty's the wrong word, but makes him seem like, I'm a poopy biatch.
Oh, this is what I want. And again, we talked about it last week, and we've been talking about it for a while now. The NFL wants at least a year. They want their pound of flesh. You made us look bad. You put us in a bad position. We want our pound of flesh.
Agreed on all points.
He's called Deshaun Watson's behavior egregious and predatory. Ain't no 6 games there. That's a year minimum talk. We want you gone this year. That's what's going to happen.
Here, and listen, I'm not disagreeing with anybody. As I've stated from the moment that we started talking about this topic, I am not in defiance of any points. I am agreeance with everything. However, it's kind of egg on the face of the NFL, right? They collectively bargained this process to institute an independent arbitrator, an investigator for this. They appointed a female, right, former federal judge to do this. She made their ruling, and then now, in a sense, they're like, yeah, we don't like your ruling. We're gonna go appoint somebody else.
But remember,
and it doesn't look good.
But remember,
because she's the original appointee in the collective bargaining agreement.
No. Within that collective bargaining agreement, there is a caveat that you can appeal said rulings.
Yeah, he has ultimate appeal power, right?
Well, no, the NFLPA can appeal as well. They both can appeal.
But I'm saying Roger Goodell has ultimate power of those decisions.
Understood. But again, as you said, within the bargaining agreement, they did agree to defer or to find an unobjective third party to judge and make a decision. However, both sides still have the right to appeal if they are not satisfied with the outcome.
Can I make a comment here?
Of course.
You know why I think Goodell's super poopy right now? Because I think now he's pissed and he's made it personal because of the statement that the NFLPA, like, hey, NFL, you guys need to stand by the judgment that our independent investigator that was duly appointed, hands down. Right? And if we talked about the statement the last couple weeks that the NFLPA made. It wasn't like they said NFL, but really who they were talking about, like DeMaurice Smith and all them were talking to Mr. Goodell himself.
Right. But again, like I said last week, and I'm going to reiterate it.
Kind of like a typed email.
I think that by them doing that, they box themselves in. And they put themselves at the mercy of what she said and what was written down.
Right.
Whether, again, 6-game suspension or not, put to the side. like we discussed last week, everything that she wrote, everything that was in her findings, by them making that comment, they boxed themselves in, and now they are really screwed. Now they're in a bad position.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's just, and the thing is, it's even more so kind of like a bad position because it's a female. It's a female former federal judge.
Those are the optics. But once again, the optics are also if they say nothing, if they don't appeal, that looks bad. By appealing, they're giving it the good old college try. If they don't win the appeal, they show that they were not compliant with the ruling. The ruling can still be upheld, but they're just going through the appealing process. And yes, Goodell wants to make it known he does not like this situation because that to me is making him look better for the people that think he should have gotten worse. This guy's trying, yes, it's in their rulings. Gil said they have the option to appeal. So everything's being done by the Bucks. So if they don't do nothing, they look bad. If they do something, they look bad. But I think they look bad by still trying to look good.
But again, and
to appease.
But you're in a position nowadays where if you look the other way, or you allow a small suspension like that, you're losing more so than you're winning. As bad as they may look by appealing. Yeah. They lose more by not doing so.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation.
They have to appeal.
They have to. That's a must. The sixth game was a must.
Even if everything he said is BS, and they honestly don't care, they're okay with the sixth game.
Correct.
By them appealing, it at least shows that they're, they give that appearance that they care. Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Because if you look at
if they don't appeal, then it's just nothing.
Right, like if you attack this from multiple angles, right? We try to be as unbiased as possible when we analyze the situation, right? Like financially, this is not good for the NFL, right? Because like 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson, he's back. The NFL is going to make money on those games because people are going to go to pay to see that guy. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes and
right?
no.
Like financially speaking, like just from a pure financial standpoint. Now. Optics, societal optics and all that stuff, yes, they have to appeal because you don't appeal and you're like, oh, you're okay with this? When
the guy comes back in Game 7, you had 3 million people with signs and the protest and all those things.
But I think that was going to happen regardless, right?
I think the amount of money they make on him or not, now that I realize, we're talking about this engine that just prints out its own money. They're not going to lose sleep over the games that he would not be making. They actually are going to be bothered more by the amount of protests and the negative
press.
Yeah. Here's my question to the both of you. What would have been the minimum game suspension, amount of games that would have, like, everybody would have been happy with? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it was 8 games, would they have appealed? If it was 12 games, do you think they would have appealed? Like, do you think that this?
It's 12 because they had negotiated for 12.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you think the appeal was automatic either way?
No. Like
I'm
asking, might not get the appeal because 8 is half. It's just 2 games, but it feels like a little more.
Because I want your honest opinion.
I think 12 was the number because they had negotiated 12.
Anything over 12,
and they didn't want 12.
I think appeases it. 16 or 17, because we're 17 game season now. Would have been perfect for the NFL because, again, when you take a look at things and when things happen, everybody, after a year, things tend to die down. After a year, people forget stuff.
24-hour news cycle.
People forget things. There's other things going on. So one season goes by, you have the Super Bowl, you have all these different things. Now, everything has died down.
There's a reset.
There's a reset, and he can come back. And it's better received.
To the NFL, the most ideal thing was a year, exactly everything you said. They wanted 12 because 12 would have been the game after Houston, and it's only 5 games, and we get past that game, and we're good.
Yeah,
they were okay with 12
they
for like the base.
They don't want the circus.
But the year was what they wanted, and now that they didn't get the 12, we're going to go for the year. There's no need to go for 12.
Where do you think it ends up?
It'll probably end up maybe at 12.
It's gonna. I do believe now it's going to be a year.
Yeah, it might end up at 12 or the year. We'll see.
Listen,
does he play now?
I don't.
While we wait,
my gut just tells me 10. Like I don't. I have no anecdotal. I have no anecdotal evidence.
But that's the thing. Now his first game back will be against Houston.
I said, I do think that at a minimum, it should be 12 because it's double the suspension. Optics again.
Right.
However, they want a year now. The NFL is going to push to get the season.
I'm gonna, and listen, admittedly, so we're on a show, right? We're a show of accountability. Like, I will be honest with you. I didn't read through the whole report because that thing was pretty fat, right? I'm interested, again, if I ever have time to go back and look at how much did his being away from the game already for a year plus influence the decision. I know that her decision, Sue L. Robinson's decision, had to do strictly based off of past precedent of what the NFL handed down when they were solely in charge of the process and their inconsistencies.
But him not
and
playing,
I feel like she was giving them pow in a sense, like.
But him not playing,
I'm going off of your inconsistencies.
Him not playing had nothing to do with it, because there was no punishment meted out to him.
No, understood.
So to me, I don't think she took that into consideration at all, because as I said, he got his full salary. Everything was the way it's supposed to be, except for him didn't play. He had no retribution, nothing. Right. He had nothing.
And I always fall back to these are professor, or essentially Juris Doctorates, right? They're judges. And then the new appointee is a former attorney general. Like, these are lawyers. These are students of law, right? And by the letter of the law, and this has to play a large part in their psyche and their logic. He's innocent. But like 24 whatever cases,
if the glove
or whatever
doesn't fit, you must have quit.
Correct. I mean, think about it. We're not talking about the NFL commissioner or NFLPA. We're talking about judges, right? Attorneys who are doing this, who are looking at it not from an athletic and social impact standpoint. They are, right? I'm sure they take that into account. I think not
athletic, but a social impact.
They take it into account, but you can't sit here and logically say that they don't take the fact that he was legally innocent, right? There was no criminal indictments,
But again,
served against him.
There's no criminal. Okay, you can't say he was innocent because he was never charged.
2 grand juries.
But but that doesn't mean he's innocent.
No charges brought to him.
Just because a grand jury does not indict you doesn't mean that you're innocent. It means that they didn't have enough evidence. They felt they didn't have enough evidence to be able to take it to court. And that's why you see so many civil lawsuits,
right, the civil suit, correct,
and civil suits, because criminally speaking, they couldn't prove it, but they could prove it civilly.
No,
I
understand.
I don't think that I don't think that there's that much of a, oh well, he's innocent. No, he was not innocent, because again, he was never tried. It never went to court.
Right.
So using the word of innocence, no, we can't say that. He wasn't found innocent. There's a bunch of people out there right now that have never been taken to trial because there wasn't enough evidence, but they were guilty. So
my basic point with that is logically, right? Looking at it from someone who is a student of law, that's got to play in, that's a large part in their psyche and in their logic of what they're,
I don't think so. I think she's looking at it more, as you said earlier, as how the NFL has treated other situations.
No, that we can agree on.
I don't think that she took into account what she was writing. Because, again, if you read what she's writing, it's 8, 15, 14. It's double-digit suspension. Because she racked them. So that's where my issue comes in. But, again...
I think it just comes down to she was serving the NFL a bit of humble pie. Like, hey, you guys have been inconsistent, and I'm following your past precedent, and that's where we're going with. Like, I think at the end of the day, that's
yes and
where...
no.
That's her
maybe
skate. That's where
the scapegoat was again, and we talked about it last week.
Pilot move, coach.
Right, I get it, and like I said, and we talked about it last week. Maybe she was using the whole owner's situation as that's her basis, because Robert Kraft wasn't dealt with, and again, we talked about that already, that was not anywhere near what this is, and the whole maybe Dan Snyder situation. See, and that to me, those are all different cases.
I just feel like this has like a like a parody show, like it's gonna end up with like a Supreme Court panel that they're gonna there's
there will be a made for TV movie about this.
Nine justices voting on the letter of the law over Deshaun Watson, because they're already on 2, a federal judge, attorney general. Next thing you know, they're gonna get a former president of the United States and a justice.
This is where it ends. It ends here. It ends with the attorney general. Yeah. It ends with that. Because their next step would be, again, as we talked about it last week, to take it to federal court. And the federal court is not going to look into it. They're going to leave it alone. You guys have a bargaining agreement. You guys agreed to it. And as Grizz just said, it follows the letter of the law. We don't want to deal with it. Have a great day.
Now, my question with this whole situation is...
another question.
Well, not question. It's more of a statement.
Go ahead.
Wouldn't you love to have his agent? That guy did wonders.
No, Grizz said it last week. Everybody needs an agent like that guy.
It's amazing.
I don't know how
they played it
danced around all this, got paid what he got paid. It is impressive.
Now, this is a question. Can the NFLPA appeal the ruling from the NFL's appeal?
No. Again, that's why I said they would have to take it to federal court.
Got it.
That would be the next step.
Right. So
this is
the ultimate
about it.
Step. Interesting. Segue. Terrible segue. We're going to stay in the AFC. A little bit more of a positive conversation here.
Well, this is a division where there will be quarterbacks who play and that are really good.
Right. So this week's preview of the NFL is the AFC West, who I think we can all agree is going to be fireworks this year.
Best division for the
best quarterbacks. For sure.
Absolute fireworks. So, who do we want to start with? Give it to me. Broncos?
From the bottom. Broncos.
Let's start with
let's say with the Broncos. So, Broncos last season, their 2021 record was 7-10. Okay? It was rough, tough sledding for them last year. But notable acquisitions, they picked up Russell Wilson from the Seahawks in the offseason. They got Melvin Gordon. Okay? They bolstered their O-line, Tom Compton, Billy Turner. They got Randy Gregory from the Dallas Cowboys. And departures though, Teddy Bridgewater, bleh. Drew Lock, bleh. Noah Fant, a little bit of a loss, right, for them. He was pretty productive. They lost a boatload on defense, right? DN Stephen Weatherly, D tackle Shelby Harris, linebacker Kenny Young, cornerback Bryce Callahan, and cornerback Kyle Fuller. So it's safe to say they're in full rebuild mode on the defensive side of the ball. Coach, analytics, your deep dive.
Between them, it's between them and the Raiders to bring up the rear. That's the best I can tell you. They're gonna play one of the toughest schedules, starting week 10 going forwards. If not the toughest, it's about top 5. Their defense does get a break because they have a very easy schedule of opposing pass. Their offense gets a break because they have a very easy passing defenses playing against them, which includes the Raiders. It includes Kansas City. Those teams in their division are not good as far as pass coverage. It's manageable. The schedule is manageable. However, again, you're in a situation where you have a brand new quarterback, new coach. The defensive scheme is going to be somewhat different, and they lost talent. So, to me, most of these games would be over games, they're going to be shootouts because they don't have a lot on the defensive side. I think they're going to be very tough battles. And again, they don't play cupcake teams. They don't have the teams that they can beat easily.
Yeah, my contention is like, it's almost like they picked up Russell Wilson and they were like, hey, we're just going to let him cook like he did in Seattle. But
they never let him cook in Seattle. He never really he cooked because they had to, but Pete Carroll never let him cook. Every time he got an OC that wanted to let him cook, they would like, no, put him back in the kitchen. Get him out of the kitchen. I don't want him cooking. No. They ran the crap out of the ball 85% of the time. And that's the issue. If they would have let him cook more, they could have been a lot better.
Again, definitely not by design, but that dude was running all over the place and ad-libbing.
Well, because their
O-line was subpar the last couple years.
He goes into another situation where the O-line is not solid. It's a questionable O-line. So we have to see what the OC, which is the head coach, Hackett, what he comes up with. Are they going to be able to do the right thing? By the way,
let's be clear. Nathaniel Hackett got that job solely because he was Aaron Rodgers' quarterback coach, in Green Bay. Like, that's what we got. And like, it came out, right? Like, that was a play to get Aaron Rodgers there, and it didn't end up working out for them.
Now, the other question is, and the other big thing coming out with Denver is, how healthy is he? How is his finger? How is it coming along? And we talked about this last season, and we harped on it. When he came off the injury, we said, man, he's not going to be the same. It's going to affect. And it did. It affected his completion rate. It affected his accuracy. They sucked.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if they're expecting the Russell Wilson from, 2, 3, 4 years ago, like, he's older. He's not as mobile. The guy's got some, bumps and bruises on him. He's not going to be able to, pull the rabbit out of his hat like he did before. Now, I could be completely wrong. He's going to put egg on my face at,
Oh, listen, they are either a feast or famine team. They got six or seven games that are the laughing stock of the NFL. They got 8 or 9 games that are the tough guys. So it's either a dogfight or a cakewalk. That's where they're at. They're the both extremes.
I love that they play Seattle week 1.
But they're going to play Drew Lock. That's going to be, listen, I'm on Denver all over that one. Denver should destroy them because Drew Lock sucks. They practiced against Drew Lock for the last 2 years.
Seattle's going to be one of the worst.
So, again, I don't think that's even a game. It's a game before kickoff. That's about it.
So lay it on us. What's the over/under for them?
Well, no, I mean it's at 10 games. It's at 10 games.
Ooh.
They're favored. I didn't put down. Let me see how many games they're favored by. Give me 1 second.
I mean, just my gut.
While Gil starts looking, I'm going to give my quick little take. I think second overall, this team will finish in the division. I think
really
over the 10, 11-6 they'll finish. Worst case scenario, I think they push.
You're saying
I do believe in Russell Wilson.
It started out at 10.5 and it went down to 10. So that's all I'll say.
That's perfect.
They're favored by 9. They're favored in 9 games.
I still think this is an injection of that feeling of I'm gonna make something happen this year for Russell Wilson. I just believe in the guy. And, call it what I call it, but that's what I feel.
After their bye week,
correct.
It is an absolute
You're
gauntlet.
absolutely right. So we start off fast. That's what we need to do.
I told you after week 10.
That's what we need to do.
After week 10, it's like...
We can have
starting week 10. Because
we can have a 6-2.
Tennessee's not a pushover.
No, but listen, I'm sorry. Week 13. Week 13 on,
we can have a 6-2 start. You got 8 games. Out of those 8, I can see them going 6-2. Sure, they could lose a few of those more, but I can see them being 6-2 after those first 8 games. And then, you have a gauntlet coming there. But is that 6-2 going to be a real 6-2 that they just play cupcakes? Do they dominate? Maybe they're even better. Listen, I think they have a chance at 11-6.
Week 13 overall. On is...
Week 13 on.
Wolf. Yeah. Ravens, Kansas City, Cardinals, Rams,
we're expecting
Kansas City,
them all
Chargers.
To be great.
Woo!
But we are expecting them all to be great, right? It could be they look at Denver going,
and we can go even back to after starting week 10. Like, Tennessee's not a pushover.
They're not.
Raiders are going to be.
But we did speak about Tennessee coming back to the pack, didn't we not?
Carolina Panthers.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That may be a
Carolina's a maybe, right?
Carolina's to me Carolina's a win.
You got the Vegas is at home. You got the Chargers at home. You got KC at home. You got those all in the back, at least at home. Like I said, that's what I'm throwing out there. 11-6, very well could be 8-9. But I'm going to put the over.
I'm going under.
Like I said, I
Coach, what do you have?
To me,
did you put money on this?
No. I didn't.
You're not touching it.
I stayed away from it. And again, I don't know what they're going to be able to do offensively. The O-line is suspect. That defense, again, is in a rebuilding situation. So we have to see where those guys end up. And those last 6 games, as I said, to me, will break their season.
Well, and we're gonna find out whether Nathaniel Hackett was just riding the Aaron Rodgers wave, or he's actually a solid offensive mind. Let's see.
It's year 1, so it's hard to judge him on year 1. That's my contention there. I don't judge anybody on their first year. So, again, it's a new head coach, new offensive and defensive coordinator, new starting quarterback.
It's going to be interesting to see.
It's going to be interesting.
I will tell you that backfield is legit. Javonte Williams is an absolute beast, and Melvin Gordon, if he stays healthy, again, another stud back. Again, I think they're going to limit his carries a little bit. He's more of a third down guy right now, but Javonte Williams can pound the rock.
But I think by doing that, they're hurting Javonte, which is a better back. They're taking away carries
for someone
that can be more explosive.
For sure, I agree with that. Moving right along, who do we want to go to next? Do we want to go Chargers?
Raiders.
We'll go to the Raiders.
Okay, we'll hit the Raiders. I know that does your... Okay, so Las Vegas Raiders. 2021 season record, 10-7. Now, they are bolstered by, obviously, they signed Derek Carr to an extension. They got 4 quarterbacks on the roster. That's ridiculous. But whatever. They added Devontae Adams. Obviously, they have Hunter Renfrow. Okay, they got Demarcus Robinson. They also have, this guy's, I'm blanking on his name right now, but that stud, Waller.
Right, no,
Waller. That guy's a X wide receiver that's just listed as a tight end. He ain't doing much blocking. That offense has firework potential written all over it. Now, defensively, this is where they're going to make their money, right? Like in this division, in the league overall, in order for you to be successful and put yourself in a position to be a contender, you need to have marquee pass rushers, right? And they've proven to have that over the last couple seasons. Can they continue that with Max Crosby? Can Max Crosby continue his production of from the last couple seasons? Okay. They also signed Chandler Jones, which is probably going to help Max Crosby. Okay, because now you got 2 stud pass rushers to bookends on the defense. So they have all the pieces.
They won last year, even though they sucked. Because when you look at them statistically, they were horrible. They had a below average passing offense. They were 17th. Bottom 10 rushing offense. They were 25th. The defense was bottom 10. And they were bad against the pass, 25th. They sucked. We backed into the playoffs. We got lucky to get there. If the Chargers don't call timeout, the Chargers go and we go as well.
Chandler Jones on one side, Max Crosby on the other.
Okay. They play the 3rd toughest schedule in the NFL. I'm
just telling you that makes a difference, especially in that division.
I get it. I understand that.
Because this league has evolved into stud quarterback, beast pass rushers.
And the 2 best quarterbacks that they're going to face are both mobile quarterbacks. The 2 offensive lines for the 2 best teams in this division, unlike the Grizz, I say the Chargers and the Chiefs are the best in this division. Both offensive lines are solid offensive lines. So they're not going to be playing against chopped liver. They're going to be facing 2 extremely good offensive teams. And as we move on, we'll talk about their defenses. Now, it worries me because our offensive line sucks. We have a terrible offensive line. Our running back is good, but our offensive line is not good. We haven't done anything as far as rushing the ball. We were 25th in rushing efficiency last year and the year before.
He says we, disclaimer, he's a Raider. He's a Raiders fan. If you guys haven't realized it.
Everybody that knows me knows I'm a Raider fan.
I mean, they're I know that.
They play the toughest first 5 games
Yep, that's
of
what I was
the
looking at.
NFL schedule. Nobody plays anything like those first 5.
And then they get the bye week.
Wait, but you're okay. I mean, I guess again, to me, Arizona doesn't scare me like that.
They do early on.
You just put them in the teams that Denver needs to watch for, and you said Tennessee's a team that needs to watch for.
They do early on.
I said Cardinals.
That's Arizona.
That's the Arizona Cardinals.
That's Arizona.
That's what I'm saying. But I agree with you with Tennessee.
Right.
I was saying Tennessee, like Tennessee's not a pushover.
But I'm saying it's the same schedule.
No, but Arizona. First of all,
Denver
Arizona
should be scared at the end.
Arizona shows to play well early every season.
That's the worst time to play them.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree with you. The first 5 games are the toughest, and then you get your bye week. And this is the thing. I've always been a Raider lover. I've always been black and silver. I love how the Raiders play. Just win, baby. Problem is the wins are going to be few and far between here, because I think they're the type of team, they're going to score a lot. I just think they're going to have those turnovers, games that'll lose. They're at 8.5. They're the worst of the over-unders here to pick. I unfortunately think they're going to finish last in this division.
I feel so much better about them than that.
And I hope they do.
Again, it's just a gut feeling.
I
feel like if they go into the bye week 3-2, they can go on a run. Right, Texans. I know New Orleans is not a pushover.
The problem is, this
Jacksonville.
is it. Listen,
After that
we
Houston
continue
game,
going.
they got to play 4 out of 5 on the road.
They went 5-1.
They just have a bad schedule.
They went 5-1 in games decided by a field goal or less. They went 7-2 overall in 1-score games.
There's the old regression to the mean.
They ranked 7th in fumble luck. Yeah. Again, the total point margin from week 9 to the close of the regular season was minus 79. They were outscored by 79 points last season from game 9 to 17. I told you, we sucked. I was never. I love them. I want them to win. They ended up in a great shootout and they beat Dallas. Dallas had 170 yards in penalties. They got lucky to beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
I believe
those games they'll lose this year.
Adding that weapon, right, takes pressure off of Renfro and Waller.
They're a great over team.
They're 8.5, right?
Yes.
I'm taking the overall data.
But I'm not talking about taking over games. I'm talking about playing the over in every game.
Yeah, points.
I'm talking about they're an over team, not over 8.5 wins. I'm talking about over games.
I feel like the game. I feel like the safe bet AFC West games, just take the over.
Oh, it depends, and we'll get into that now. But to me, now they will get a little bit better as far as red zone and things of that nature, because again, there will be regression there. But overall, they are not stacked. First year coach.
Yeah, but he's not really a first year coach.
But it is there. He is there. He's their first year there.
Josh McDaniels has been a head coach before. It
doesn't matter to me. There's a
de facto head coach.
There's always a
with
transition.
the Patriots.
To me, there's always a transition. I always believe in that. There's always a transition, and especially from a team that backed into the playoffs, playing as poorly as this team played. First game we saw last week. They looked nice and they had the game calling and the game progression looked good as far as an offensive, defensive standpoint. They also played the Jacksonville Jaguars. So again, that does not give me much confidence. I think they're going to struggle. I have to remember it's 17 games. So yeah, they could go 9-8. That's 500 right now because there is no 500. So just like they could go 9-8, they could go 8-9.
I think they finished 7-10.
See, the Grizz with a 7-win season.
Looking at the defense, right? A marquee pass rusher can make all the difference between having a bad secondary and a solid secondary, right? In this division and in the NFL as a whole right now, all you got to you just need to make a few stops a game. Whoever makes 2 to 3 stops a game, putting themselves in a great position to win. Adding Chandler Jones, phenomenal. They also have Jonathan Abram there, which is not, and then they re-signed Hankins, right? So that's going to be a very formidable front.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think that they had a good pass rush last year? Was their pass rush decent?
Yes, they had a very decent pass rush last year, but I think it becomes borderline elite now. That's where I'm hanging my hat.
They were 25th in pass defense, or 24th in pass defense.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like adding that one pass rusher can make all the difference.
It's going to move them from 25th to top 5.
Okay, that's insane.
Okay,
but top 10, top 15 puts you in contention.
You think they'll be top 15?
I think.
You think they'll be as good as the Packers, the Ravens, the Colts?
I think they have a shot.
The Eagles.
I think they have a shot.
I think the best they could do is 18th. They can move up 7 spots. Okay?
Ace, take note of the time here. We're going to look at this 6 to 8 weeks in. Show of accountability. Moving right along. So you're saying under 7 and 10?
Under 7 and 10.
You're saying...
I don't see more than 8 to 9 wins. I don't.
I'm going over. I think they win 10 games.
Again, they have the third toughest schedule. And looking at their schedule and analyzing it, again, they're lucky if they get out of there 3-2 in the first 5. Mm-hmm. They're going to beat Houston. They play New Orleans at New Orleans, which again will start being tough once again. They got an easy game against Jacksonville. They got Indianapolis, which is going to be a barn burner. And then right after that, they got Denver. So they might be preparing for Denver or looking ahead to Denver as they play the Colts, which could be a problem. They play Seattle, who sucks. They play the Chargers, which is going to be a shootout. They play the Rams. The Rams will be firing on all cylinders. They play the Patriots, which are going to be one of the most underrated teams next year.
That I can agree with.
And I'm concerned. The only concern I have with the New England Patriots is that whole no coordinator situation. But whatever, we'll cover that as we go. Pittsburgh's going to be a win because I think Pittsburgh, by this time, if it's not Trubisky, it's Pickett. Okay, then they finish against San Francisco and against KC. San Francisco, rookie quarterback. KC, I think KC beats them. So again, I don't see anywhere more than 8, 9 wins.
It's too late.
I think Carr has a career year, right? You got Devontae Adams, you got Renfro, you got Waller.
We better protect them.
He has Jacobs and Kenyon Drake in the backfield.
We better protect them, or like Buddy Ryan used to say,
Amir Abdullah, Brandon Bolden. Like
a couple years ago, when Deshaun Watson was playing, did he not have like a top 5 season? They won like 4 games, 5 games.
Okay,
you can have all the top.
That defense was historically like the worst ever in the NFL in 100.
Once again, like I said, as great as Carr is and will be, I think he's still capable of giving you some pick sixes, some turnovers.
If we can't protect them and we can't run the football when we need to, it's going to be a problem.
Just an aside.
You're going safe. You're going safe. You're going with the clear cut over. I'm taking the chance, man.
Not to go on a tangent, but how bad does your defense have to be when the starting quarterback has an all-time historically great season? He passed for 5,000 yards and like 38 touchdowns, and his QBR was like 80 something, 87 or some craziness like that.
And I don't think.
And he went 4-12.
And Carr could have probably a little less. But win double the games, and that's still like 7-8 games.
It's 8 games. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's my concern. Again,
it's all about winning the close games. We're saying that maybe he's not going to win as many.
And I'm again, we backed into the playoffs. The Chargers.
Moving on to the Chargers. 2021 record, they were 9-8. Okay, they got a stud quarterback coming into his third year. Okay.
Surrounded by talent.
And he's an absolute freaking just.
It's a monster.
Just a beast. Just an absolute beast. So, Grizz, thoughts?
Once again, this team should be the team that finishes second, maybe even first. I just feel they'll improve. They'll win a 10th game. I just feel that they're going to lose some games that are going to scratch your head because they do the Charger things. It's like, to me, the Chargers remind me they're the AFC's Dallas Cowboys. Like, they should always be really good, and they just do dumb, boneheaded mistakes. Not to get into the playoffs last year against the Raiders. It was just sad. And I just think they could easily win the couple games that I think they're going to lose, but I just think they'll be 10-7. You know, Herbert's going to have his career year too. I love their offense.
I think
Herbert's going to love their offense.
I think Herbert's going to explode.
And I think the difference. I think the difference will be in their defense.
Yes,
they spent some money on some free agents. They brought in some guys. They have a solid defensive backfield, if not the best one in the AFC West, and maybe even in the AFC. Young, good studs. Up and down, their back seven are solid. Their front four, like I said, they just spent some good money, picked up a couple tackles. They still got Boza, who is a sack monster.
And they added Khalil Mack.
I do think they picked up Khalil Mack, like I said. I do believe that they are better, and they're better than the Raiders because of their defensive backfield. The Raiders' defensive backfield sucks. So that's why I say
I love the Chargers draft.
But that's why I said with the Raiders, I don't echo your feelings. You get me?
Right.
With these guys, it's a different ballgame because they do have a solid offensive line that can protect Herbert. They have receivers, running back, and their defense has been elevated. They spent money where they needed to. They're moving in the right direction. And hopefully now, don't forget where Staley came from.
Oh, yeah. Staley is the monster of the hybrid defense. Okay. Two-show rolling downhill and disguise.
Now they have the pieces to probably, if not do so, run that defense that he can run and ball out.
I mean, listen, the Khalil Mack pickup, again, we were talking about the Raiders when they picked up Chandler Jones. Like, we're talking about bookends, Khalil Mack and Joey Boza. Like, what do you do? What do you do, coach? Like, who do you slide to? How do you do this? Like, it's
again, and to be honest with you, that's why, and I do echo the author of the book that I read, that he throws on first down. I think throwing on first down in the NFL is the key because most teams are not playing the coverage. They're playing the 8-man box. They're hunkering down. Their speed ends are not in. They're playing their run defense guys. Right. So you mix it up by throwing the ball on first down, play action, et cetera, et cetera. So if Lombardi, if the OC does that, if the OC breaks away from the pattern that he's had for the last couple of years, because he was the OC at New Orleans, and opens up the game a little bit more, I think that this is going to be the team to beat in this division.
I love the way the culture that Staley's trying to build there of aggression, right? That he was asked recently about, because he goes for it all the time on fourth down. And, they were asking, like, well, are you going to stop going for it on fourth down? He's like, no, like, that's our identity. Like, this is what we're going to do. We're trying to build a culture of aggression.
He needs to be smarter when he goes for it.
And I just love the way that he has his defensive mindset of multiple packages by not having to change personnel. I think Khalil Mack was the perfect pickup to make his defense even more versatile. If you know anything about his defense, he's always going to give you a two shell and rotate and spin and give you some craziness where, again, in this division with these quarterbacks and what it's shaping up to be as like essentially an air raid, the disguise and the way that he's going to come at them, I think it may be special. And again, bolstered by the pass rush, right? That's an elite pass rush.
But again, they also have an elite defensive backfield. Because when you look at the kids that they have back there and the names that they have back there, they have stud players.
Yeah, I love the J.C. Jackson pickup and the Bryce Callahan pickups in the draft.
Solid corner.
Those are two young stud corners.
So again, that's where I think the difference comes in. They have a pretty easy first 9 weeks, except for maybe KC. They play Denver at home, the Raiders, Jacksonville, Houston, Seattle. Then Atlanta on week 9. They also host 5 or 6 games in that last run. They have some tough games. They play KC again, Arizona away, the Dolphins at home, which again, taking the Dolphins out of Miami, I think gives the Chargers the advantage there, because I do think Miami's home field advantage is pretty solid when teams comes down here, especially during that time of the year. Tennessee's at home as well. They play at the Colts. The Rams are at home also, and then they end at Denver. So
you gotta love their weeks.
And that's where I see them losing their games. They'll be 10-4, and I see them losing the last 3.
You gotta love.
You think they'll go 0-3?
Yep. They'll lose both of the road games, and Los Angeles Rams might be a home game, but the Rams are the home team.
I love the stretch.
That's another problem with the Chargers, that they are not beloved by Los Angeles. They're just not. No, there's still a lot of people that hate the Chargers. The Rams are the de facto team.
Right. That's it. That's been the team. That's been the team there for 100 years.
They were a team there for years. Chargers were in San Diego, hated rival. You got Raider fans that are still there that they converted to the Rams, I'm sure. So they don't have, to me, what I consider that home field advantage.
What is that, the Cronkite family?
But again, in the NFL, it's also a lot about traveling.
No, I totally get it.
Schedule
they don't
set up.
Exactly.
So, but again,
the stretch that they have.
That's just the way I see it. I see them losing the last.
The stretch that they have after they get past Kansas City is like something that you see. Something that you love.
I think that the worst they'll do in the last 3 is 2-1. I think they'll beat both. I think they'll both. They have a chance to beat Indy. They'll beat Denver. They'll lose to the Rams.
They're
if that.
Their stretch from week 3 to 9.
It's cake.
You gotta love that.
Oh, it's cake. Yeah. It's cake.
You're licking your chops right there.
But that's the problem with the Los Angeles Chargers, San Diego Chargers. When they're given a piece of cake, sometimes they just drop it. And you know what? You gotta throw it.
Yeah, but I don't know, Grizz. I mean, this dude is special.
Okay. This is the beauty of it's a prediction, sir.
They gotta come out of it sooner.
It's a prediction. I put my stuff on tape.
What's the over under?
10.
They're at 10. They push for me.
I think they go 12-5.
That's a fantastic choice.
I think they split with Kansas City. They may take both from the Raiders. And then that stretch, that week 3 through 9 stretch, like you better go 6-0 there.
I mean, you have a good chance again.
7-0.
Maybe not 7. If you go 6-1 and you win the majority game, you've got 10 wins going into the last stretch of the season. So if you can parlay where you got 9-10 wins, you have a good shot of winning 3 out of those last 6.
Dolphins week 14, that's a win.
So
for them,
like I said, I think they're in a good situation. I like them. The worst part of it is they're in the division with KC. KC's solid. KC is going to be another good football.
Speaking of segue,
now we go to the Chiefs, where
they're favored in 12 games. Again, I'm not going to dethrone them.
Their 2021 record was 12-5.
Yep. This is an angry team. This is a very angry team. This is a team that needs to, change some ways. They did not make the Super Bowl.
And why are they angry?
Huh?
And why are they angry?
They're angry they didn't make the Super Bowl. They did not achieve their goal.
They failed where they thought they could continue.
This team has made 4 AFC championships in a row. They have, bar none, probably the best quarterback in the game. They just lost probably one of the best receivers in the game. But I believe this is yet another guy that you give him weapons, any kind of weapons, he's going to make them stars. And the fact that Juju Schuster is on this team, I think that's going to be a little reborn for this young man. He's going to come and play. He's got a hell of a quarterback now. I just think the Chiefs are going to be angry. Minimum 13 wins for me. Minimum of just dominance. They got to go back to the dominance.
My concern with them is, again, their defense. Yeah. I think their defense is another Achilles heel for them.
Agreed.
Last year, they did not touch the ball as much as they could have because their defense sucked. They were bad in every statistical category except red zone. All of a sudden, the red zone, they became great. How that happens, I can't explain it. However, with that being said, now you get that whole regression idea, and they'll give up more points on the defensive side than they did last year.
They picked up Frank Clark, and he just, in 3 seasons that he's been with them, he just hasn't panned out, right? Like when he came over to them, he was regarded as, kind of like scratching at that premier level pass rusher, right? You look at it, I mean, they have Melvin Ingram, they lost Melvin Ingram. So that's where we just talked about putting yourself in a position to be a contender with marquee pass rushers. They have the weakest pass rush of all of the teams in the division, I would venture to say. That's where I think the separation is going to be. Now, you never count out Patrick Mahomes, right? He's proven it on multiple levels. So on the defensive side, where do they manufacture that pass rush? How do they get to the quarterback? Who's going to be,
he's going to have to take some chances. He's going to have to do a little blitzing here and there. He has to do a good job. I know he's in that bend don't break mentality, which again for them it helped them because third down and red zone last year they were really, really good in it, and that's what helped them out, and that's what made things even for them. But the problem is that by doing so, you put that much more pressure on your offense to be more perfect, to be better. Even though the offense was amazing last year, they just could not pull it out all the time. And they got to stop putting that much pressure on their offense. That's where they get hurt. And this year, their schedule is the toughest in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They've got Murderer's Row.
So look, we talked about their weakest point, pass rush on the defensive side. Offensively, my question is, who replaces the vertical, part of their game offensively with Tyreek Hill leaving? Remember that's what opened up all the windows that he had to operate.
Now, last year, again, teams started playing them with a too high look and dropped people off to make him throw underneath. And that's what they did. They used Tyreek more underneath. He wasn't blowing the top off the defenses anymore. He was more hit it short across, and break it. Now, you've picked up a guy like Valdez-Scantling, who is a bullet. That guy's one of the fastest guys in the NFL. He's going to blow the top off the defense. He'll be your deep guy. You got, as the Grizz alluded to, Juju Schuster, who's still a guy who has a lot of football left in him. So you've picked up two good receivers. You still got a solid tight end. You have some good running backs that catch the ball out of the backfield. So you can still take Schuster deep, bring Scantling underneath, and have Kelsey be your middle of the field and middle of the defense type of threat. So the passing game will be there.
Yeah, I heard they had Patrick Mahomes on NFL Network the other day. They were at their training camp, and he had stated that McCole Hardman is filling the Tyreek Hill role pretty well. Again, another bullet, but those guys were effective in their subplot role, right? Like in spot duty.
My notes.
What's going to happen when the lights are shining on them?
My notes tell me play the over early. All those early games, start playing the over because that defense is not going to gel yet. It's going to take them 8 or 9 weeks to gel. Now, once they get to week 9 or 10, then they'll start gelling, playing a little better, and then you could take a look at playing them more as an under team or trying to see where they fit. But those first 7, 8, 9 weeks of the season, I think they're going to give up a lot of points, and they're going to score a lot of points.
I don't know how notable this is, but they also have Josh Gordon on the roster.
Listen,
I saw that too. That's a nice little thing to have on your roster, but we've been thinking of Josh Gordon for like 5 or 6 years.
And he's done.
That if he gives you anything, it's a plus.
We mentioned the names. We already mentioned the 3 or 4 names that'll give them what they need.
The point, if he even makes any kind of plays and he's good, he might just be a trade bait. If anything.
Another subplot that we may need to watch and we're probably going to maybe discuss later on is Orlando Brown, left tackle, hasn't signed his franchise tender yet. He's effectively holding out. So that's the blind side, right? That can affect his protection there. So that's going to be interesting to watch. What's their over under? Did you state that?
They're at 10.5.
They're at 10.5.
You're going over?
I'm not a big over guy. I'm really not a big over guy.
I'm a push there, to be honest with you.
They have to go 11 and 6. They have to go 11 and 6. You have to take over. You got to go the over.
But 10, 11.
But again, if you take a look at them for the last 3 seasons, they've averaged 12.5, 13 games a year, winning 12 and 4, 14 and 2, 12 and 5. So, again, we have to see where their defense lies. That's what concerns me.
It also is worth noting that the organization knew that they were going to be in this kind of situation based off of how Patrick Mahomes' contract was front-loaded. They were going to kind of be hamstrung in terms of what they were going to be able to put together in these first 2 to 3 years. I think after this season is where you're going to see them getting back to loading up and getting some market.
They're going
if
to be
they
a
can win
stalwart for the next 6-7 years.
If they can win 7 games in those first 13 weeks, they've got a shot.
But what I'm saying is,
they've got a shot to go to 12.
They're hitting their dip now because they're cash strapped, right? They're giving him the money now.
Their dip is still a
pretty
12-win team,
and
their
cap situation
because of the greatness of the quarterback that they have.
They're favored in 12 games.
Yeah, the greatness of their quarterback. I see. Yes, the first 7 games from Arizona to San Francisco is a gauntlet. Okay, but I think they're just that good. 5-2 there. Those 2 right there. The Los Angeles road game. One of those LA's your 3rd loss. Cincinnati is a toss-up to me.
And it's an away game, so it's a tough game.
But then
they finish the season.
Denver, but then the next 5
it's sweet.
It's sweet.
They play Houston.
Easy. They could
Seattle,
go 13-4.
They play the Raiders.
The only reason I'll maybe even say 12-5 because since I believe in Denver that much, they'll probably lose 1 to Denver, I think. But I'm not going to bet against Pat.
I agree. No, I agree.
Once again, this is...
And they have a solid... Again,
incredibly...
the O-line, to me, is so big in the NFL. They bring everybody back. They were one of the best offensive lines in the NFL last year. I really think that they do well.
Cohesion's a big part. You saw how they struggled after they lost Eric... forgot his last name. To the Colts, right? They had to restructure and kind of... They patchworked and were trying to fit pieces in there until they figured it out.
They also turned the ball over early on in the season last year. The first 7 or 8 games, they led the NFL in turnovers. Then they finished the season strong because, again, the only game that they lost was because of a turnover.
Yeah. The majority of NFL teams go 1 year great, 1 year regress. The NFL is beautiful for that. You don't know who's going to be great, who's going to be bad. But the Chiefs... and like the Patriots, obviously, Steelers, these are the teams that year in because of the organization, the way they run things, you trust them.
So it's safe.
And in the AFC West, the team that still is trusted the most has to be the Chiefs.
KC. To be the champ, you got to beat the champ.
So it's safe to say that they're the favorite in the division.
Yes,
correct.
But I'm also
with the Chargers a close second, and then Denver bringing up that 3rd right there, trying to see what happens.
Which I was going to say, like, I'm also not going to be surprised if you're like, holy crap, Chargers, breakout.
The two, it's going to be them 2.
See, they have everything
They have
on
all the
paper.
pieces.
Like, because
we don't win games on paper,
poised to
though.
go,
It comes
and
down to
excuse
coaching,
my language.
sir.
Correct.
You're absolutely correct. It comes down to coaching. And right now, Andy Reid and his staff have the coaching upper hand. And until Staley shows us different.
The enemy, too.
I might look
KC.
like a fool with a lot of my picks, but I like to pick crazy sometimes because I don't see it so black and white. These games change. Certain teams will be great. Look, Arizona's going to be a tough one for the Chiefs on the start. Like you say, they start out hot. But it's the first game. I see the Arizona playing better second,
Which,
third.
by the way, I've already taken KC money line.
Correct.
Do you guys
going to
see...
win this game.
I think it's very possible we see 3 teams out of the AFC West in the playoffs.
Oh, definitely. That's what I'm saying. You got 10 wins for the Chargers in my book, 11 Denver, 12 to 13. You're going to get 3 teams.
You're hard on Denver right now.
Oh,
man.
yeah. He's got it.
You are.
Yeah.
You are all
The books
in.
are saying 10, even if they went down from 10.5 to 10.
You are all in on Denver.
I'm not all in. I'm just saying they're a game better than what they're supposed to be.
No, because 10.5 when they go down, that means the money's on the under. Correct. So it's already moved to 10. So if you hit 10, you pushed.
No, I totally get it, but I'm saying they're being loved by the books. So my 11 win is not like astronomical.
I mean, listen, Russell Wilson also brings a certain amount of aura.
He has cachet
and distinction.
He's another guy that's a winner.
Fans like him. He has the tools.
Yeah.
There are receivers there. They have some good stuff.
Those other teams, Chargers and Raiders, might have the talent, but that quarterback is still better to me than those other 2.
So it's like go Hawks. What does he say? Go Horses now. What's going to be his staple?
What did he say?
He say go Hawks all the time. Go Hawks.
But he's got something else.
I wasn't in the Seattle.
I'm not a Seattle guy. But he said something the other day when he was moving. Ace, what did he say about what did you tell us it was? Let's ride. That's the new token.
Oh, wow.
Let's ride.
That everybody made fun of.
That guy's
you see our producer coming through. See, that's what we needed.
Our esteemed producer. That is hilarious.
Let it ride.
That is.
Speaking of which, let's let it ride into our break.
Phenomenal segue. We're riding into the break. And the crew's back to close up the show with a little Big 12 football preview for the 2022 season. I know Coach over here has done his deep dive. He's got all his analytics and all this poppycock over there, this tomfoolery on his Excel sheet.
Tomfoolery.
Hit us.
I'm just going to pick based on mascots, but go.
Well, again, I mean, there is a lot of shakeup going on. Oklahoma lost its head coach, quarterback, top receiver. However, they made a huge hire in bringing in Mr. Venables from the Clemson Tiger crew. I do think he's going to be a phenomenal head coach. This is one of the places where he first broke into coaching and was a defensive coordinator here as well. Did a great job. He made a couple of great hires. His offensive coordinator is Jeff Lebby. He brought him over from from Ole Miss. He was there with Lane Kiffin. And before that, he was at UCF. And what they've done is they've gone ahead and brought in Dylan Gabriel for the former quarterback at UCF that played under this system with Lebby. I do think that they're going to score points. They're going to be good. They're a solid football program, and I do think there's enough pieces and parts together for Venables to put up a good defense.
I mean, that's you lose your head coach and you just re-up with Venables. Like, what a phenomenal hire, because that is a air raid, air it out, not known for their defense, and that dude's gonna zig while everyone's zagging. Like, he's gonna bring a different moxie, a different complexion, a different personality to that league that they haven't seen what the type of defense that he puts on the field.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen overnight. That's not going to happen the first season. They will be somewhat better defensively, but I still think they'll have a ways to go before we can consider them or put them in that category where we're used to watching Clemson dominate people on defense. And that's what got them going last year. And that's how they were able to win, because Clemson's offense sucked. With that being said, you go to another defensive-minded coach, Dave Aranda, Baylor, the Bears. Again, they're got a little bit of transition going on as well, as their quarterback leaves their program because he lost his position. Jerry Bohannon ended up winning quite a few games. He was one of the better players at Baylor. However, there's a young man by the name of Blake Shapen, who is the now starter and has taken over for Bohannon. We'll see how this offense turns it around. They had a great year last year. They've got a great offensive and defensive line. They're the best in the Big 12. However, we'll see how their skill positions work out, and will they be able to finish towards the top. The team that I have my eye on, who again, it is a box of chocolates, because you just don't know what you're going to get, is my boy the Sark.
Oh,
Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns.
I knew it.
It's going to be fun.
I'm excited to watch them. I think they've done an amazing job recruiting. They just transferred in one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They have 2 or 3 other quarterbacks there that are also unbelievable. I think this year Sark will be able to finally implement the offense that he was running at Alabama and the things that he did over there with Nick Saban. I think defensively they've also going to take a step up. They're going to move in the right direction. And again, their defense coordinator is a guy from Washington. I know their defense last year sucked. They lost to Kansas, etc. Everything negative you can say. I get it. But I just think there's just too much star power. Too many 5-star athletes on this football team to not make a run, especially when the top has so much change, uncertainty. There's things going on, and this now all of a sudden becomes the model of stability.
Wait, Texas?
Yeah, Texas. I want to chime in on this because I knew he was going to come up with Texas because to me, Texas is that team as well. They can't go anywhere but up, right? 5-7 they were last year. The top is very weak. The teams that finish in the top, Oklahoma State's, the Baylor's, they're coming down, I think. You're only going to worry about Oklahoma, obviously. The staple. Every year, they're in the top. That's the game every year that you don't know. And that's the game I think Texas is going to win this year. And I do believe, just like Gil says, this is going to be the team vying for the title.
Correct.
With Oklahoma.
Correct.
However, maybe, once again, I don't know, just like Gil says, he's going to have the information. I think Iowa State is going to be a player. I don't know why. They I think under Chief last year, they were supposed to be better. I think they're a sneaky team. They're hosting Oklahoma October 29th. That's the kind of game that, sneak up on you. I think Iowa State, not that they'll win it outright, but I think they're going to.
My reservation with Iowa State is they've had a quarterback there for 3 or 4 years. He's gone. So that's a big change there. They lose a lot of players. So it's one of those years. I'm not going to call it a rebuilding year because Matt Campbell has done an amazing job at that school. But it's one of those years where I think he wins 8. I don't think he's at the top where he needs to be or has enough players at this moment to contend. Just because, again, the transfer class for Texas is super solid. Oklahoma State lost their defensive coordinator. Yep. Again, like I said, that's the only reason that I like Texas so much is because the recruiting has been good. Let's put it this way. Since 2018, they've had the number 5, the number 3, number 9, number 16, and number 5 recruiting class. Okay? That's number 6 on a 5-year trend. So when you've got that kind of talent, I think that it's going to come up to the top.
And that's the thing. But Texas, for some reason, once again, is that kind of program that the pressure gets to them. They lose the games they're really not supposed to lose. And, coming off a 5-7 season, yes, they're going to be better. I think they're going to be way better. But they just have the potential of losing those kind of games. Once again, I said Iowa State is just my.
I think they're going to be overlooked. I think they're going to be overlooked just because of that.
And like I said, I still think you're right. It's going to be between Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, they're leaving. They're supposed to leave, I think, in 2 years. But, we've seen buyouts and stuff like that. This could be the last year. You never know. So
my other sleeper team is Kansas State.
Well, Kansas State's always that kind of
the
sleeper
ghost
team.
of Bill Snyder.
Kansas State, their head coach is exceptional. Does a great job of upsets. He's really done a good job recruiting as well. I think they're set up to have a phenomenal season.
So I want to bring something up and discuss
His big
something.
games are on the road, though.
I've perused a couple previews for the Big 12, and they both have Oklahoma as winning the conference.
Correct.
But the one thing that I found peculiar is they have them winning against Texas, right? But then they both have them losing against West Virginia. That is is that just hey, we don't know where the loss is going to be, so let's just throw it here randomly? Is that if the loss is going to be anywhere, I don't see it West Virginia. I haven't
heard anything about West Virginia. They haven't been on my radar.
And they also have them losing to TCU, which is I can see that more so than West Virginia.
The thing is, TCU has a new coach, Dykes. They have a good quarterback. They're going to be loaded offensively. So
that one's more palatable, but
you could see that. And again, you could see it because Oklahoma has to travel to TCU. West Virginia has a new quarterback as well, has a transfer quarterback. They've got a new OC, which is Graham Harrell, that came over from USC and he played at Texas Tech. It's going to be a spread offense as well. All those things. The quarterback is a young man, I want to say from USC. Give me 1 second. JT Daniels. It's JT Daniels that came over from Georgia and also from USC. So again, they've got a high profile name at quarterback. It's
upset city is what they're trying to say there, right?
Correct. And if I'm not mistaken, that's also might be a road game for Oklahoma.
Yes, it is.
So again, that's where they're looking at, and that's where the Big 12 always has its issues.
Of course,
it's on those away games. that become a problem.
Yeah, the Iowa State for them is on the road. West Virginia is on the road. The TCU. They will lose one of those three. Mark it. They always give you that one loss. Oklahoma, no matter how great they are, even the playoff years, they always have that one loss that scratches your head. They're just going to lose one of those games. Now, here's the thing. They got the at-Nebraska game that you brought up when we were talking the Big 10, and you expect Nebraska to be up there. Who knows if that's a game that they, it's going to be a tough game.
My problem with that is I don't know if Nebraska has enough firepower for them.
I don't think so either, point. But it's still.
But the thing with the TCU game is it's right before Texas. So again, it's
overlooking.
In college, it's all about scheduling,
of course,
and you got to take a look at who's a look ahead,
right?
Who are they play? Who they just beat?
Little games.
And it's a letdown. It's a little letdown.
They look at West Virginia because it's looking ahead to the Oklahoma State game.
Correct.
But even though they never look ahead because they always kill Oklahoma State, no matter how good Oklahoma State, they always come up for that one. I still think that.
But last year Oklahoma State, I think, beat them. I'm not sure if that happened.
That was a rarity.
It was a rarity. An anomaly.
Oklahoma State had a great season last year. Yeah, they lost 33-37 to Oklahoma State. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen. If this is probably as wide open as a conference could get.
It is. It really is. It really is. Like the Big 12.
There's no.
The Big 12 is wide open except for Texas Tech and Kansas. They'll be bringing up the rear for sure.
Como siempre.
And I still think, and again, and I've looked at Kansas. Kansas might win 3 games this year, maybe even 4.
Weirdly, they might.
They may. I like their head coach. He's doing a great job.
Texas Tech will always give you a couple little big point totals there. It's just the Big 12. They're gonna have some fun shootout games throughout the year, but rest assured, Sooners will finish atop.
It's rough to be like, hey, I'm gonna take the head coaching job at Kansas, right? Like that's a doormat of the Big 12.
I mean, it ate up Les Miles. It ate up what was the Notre Dame coach that was
Charlie Weiss.
Charlie Weiss. I mean, I still can't believe one of the most craziest years is that I think 2007 year when Kansas finished in the Orange Bowl and they had a chance to play for a national championship.
That was my boy.
1 out of 100 years.
That was
Florida?
my boy. That was my boy from Toledo.
Yeah.
He was the head coach, Mangini, I want to say his name was.
Yeah.
Big
that was the year.
Yeah.
That was the year.
I don't know if it was Mangini, but
he came from Toledo and he had a great couple of years.
That was the year everybody lost because that was the LSU 2-loss year, I believe, because Missouri had a chance. I'll never forget. It's the craziest year.
Or Mangino or
West Virginia lost.
I'm gonna look at
everybody
it right
didn't
now.
want him. If you were number 1 or number 2, you were losing every game.
But yeah,
Mangino. Mark Mangino. Yeah, that guy was large.
No, he did
remember because of the Orange Bowl photo, he was right next to the orange.
Yeah,
and they were twins.
That was a big guy.
Yes. Good coach though, solid coach. I really liked him. Again, he was from Toledo.
And that was the year that I think they knocked out Tim Tebow from the game or something like that. They gave him a concussion or I don't know what
really,
it was.
really well, and he was but. This guy Leopold, who's at Kansas now, came from Buffalo. He is, again, I really think he's doing a good job. I think that they're going to be better, and he's going to work to get to the right place.
You can win 8 games and you're God.
No, I mean, you just got to work on the recruiting end of it and keep players, man. Let me tell you something. They've got a dynamic quarterback. If you get a chance to watch them play, watch Kansas play. Their quarterback is a dynamic quarterback, tremendous athlete.
I love Leopold's, his coaching tenures. D3 guy, came from Wisconsin Whitewater.
Yeah, no, and he won championships there.
Yeah,
excellent guy.
Legit. We got anything else to add here?
That's it. We're gonna go a little bit of MMA, but we'll leave it for next week. There is MMA this weekend. I went 0-1 last weekend with our boy Vicente Luque. Mr. Jeff Neal looked sharp as a razor. That guy. Nothing but left hands and knocked us out at the beginning of the 3rd round. Yeah. My apologies.
It's all right. Listen, man, that's a sport where, one swing.
One swing, you're done.
One swing. Like it's
or one arm crack.
Yeah, whatever.
Depends which comes first.
One kick, and it's night, and you're snoring. But
listen, before we leave this week, I want to make sure that we give a shout out to our sponsor,
General Carnitas Gourmet Meats.
Best sausage
right
in town.
now. They are running a special 20% off
All products.
all products. If you're having a fantasy football draft, if you're having some summer get-togethers,
Oh, you
punch it
kidding me?
in, get your
Weekly
order.
tailgates. Come on.
Get your orders in. There is delivery within the Tri-County area.
Get it. Gentlemen, it's good to have all of us back in one room. 2 coaches, 1 Grizz.